Hello everyone. Before we get into the episode, don't worry, this isn't an ad or a call out to follow us on Patreon. We just wanted to acknowledge quickly the massive break that we've been on. I think this has probably been the biggest break we've ever had.
Yeah, I think it has been, honestly. Maybe, I think the last episode we released was maybe late, I want to say late October? No,
About a month.
Not October, fuck. Sometime in October, maybe September or some shit. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute, I will say.
We've never taken more than a month off, but it's okay because it's sort of lined up with a pretty big milestone for Marathon Me.
It really has. I cannot believe that, we did... I cannot believe that we didn't even, record a special episode, but to be fair, we have been busy. But, as we took our break, it was the 2-year anniversary of Marathon Me. How crazy is that?
Woo!
How fucking
crazy.
Throw in the audience applause right now.
Yeah, exactly. We can hear your applause, people. It is pretty freaking nuts that it's been going on for 2 years and has been a pretty big part of our lives, I think, but has still allowed us to go on our own sort of life journeys simultaneous to it as well. It feels like a lot has changed in those 2 years of our lives because they were pretty formative years. Do you feel like that, Kane?
Oh no, wholeheartedly, dude. We recorded the first episode back in October 2020. Sometime in 2022, 2021 and all that. Because I remember we released it in October, but. It's been a lot has happened since our first episode. A lot has fucking happened. Girlfriends, breakups, new jobs, moving to Sydney, shaving beards, and everything else in between. A lot of crazy shit has happened for the both of us.
Yep, I have a mustache now. Unbelievable. That's like a new era in Marathon Me and in Rhys and Kane history, right? I have more facial hair than you do now, Kane.
You do. It's fucked. I mean, and right now, I have a Fred Durst goatee right now because I just got back from a early 2000s party last night. Fucking insane. It's not permanent, boys and girls. Don't worry. I'm not going back to the early 2000s. Don't worry, Rhys. I'm hoping that mustache. You reckon that mustache will stay permanent?
I feel like this mustache will be shaven off the day that Movember ends.
Well, before you do that, you need to send a bunch of model pics to me, man. Come on.
Okay, I will surely. But see, even though we've only been going for 2 years, we are spanning decades here on Marathon Me. And right now I'm recording from... so I moved out since last episode that we've recorded. I now am living in Sydney's inner west, which is far more my sort of pace. And in this house that I moved into, I now have a podcast studio that isn't my bedroom. So that's another big milestone for Marathon Me. You know, the studio is in now a garage, but that feels like an improvement, going from bedroom to garage to then live 1,000 people stadiums, you know? That's the next step.
Eventually we will be on stage performing to hundreds of thousands of people in all that. But till then, at least one half of the podcast has an actual genuine studio.
Moving outside of the bedroom.
Unfortunately, I am still in my bedroom, but you know what? We've made it work so far. We're going to keep going with this. It'll be alright, boys.
It sounds fine. So
exactly. There's been no issues so far, so we're all goods.
Well, anyway, without further ado, we didn't want to make it seem like that we have given up on the podcast because we're still midway through our Quentin Tarantino marathon. So it was very intentional, this break. It was very, very needed because it was probably the 2 months that was the most insanely hectic with how busy I was of my life, but also very, very fulfilling at the same time. But now we're back. We're recharged, and we're ready to present to you our Inglourious Basterds podcast. Enjoy.
Hey Rhys, I got a little fun fact for you. So those historians, they say this is bullshit, but did you know that Hitler is actually alive?
Dude, Eli Roth shot him up with a gun in a cinema, bro.
No, Rhys. He's alive and well in Peru with Tupac Shakur waiting to make his next move.
You mean Tarantino lied to us?
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Here's the first movie.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Peel that pig and slice him thick.
The body count is always bigger.
Hi, I'm
Chucky, wanna play?
The fucking trees walked in those movies.
Hi, doggy. What a story, Mark.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
It's just like your opinion, man.
Life moves pretty fast.
If you want your sequel to become a franchise.
37 dicks.
In a row?
I'm your number one fan.
G'day, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another episode of Marathon Me with your host, Kane.
And Rhys.
And today we are here with the 6th Tarantino movie in the Tarantino series?
Yeah, 5th, 6th, yeah.
we are here we're here with the 6th entry in the Tarantino series, Once Upon a Time in Nazi-occupied France. Oh, wait, sorry, I mean the worst title, Inglourious Basterds. Well, anyways, Rhys, so do you have any history with this movie, by any chance?
Not particularly. I have seen it before, and I really, really enjoyed it first time round. I think that it was maybe my first Tarantino film, not really being that tuned into it being a Tarantino movie, but this time, I enjoyed it, but felt the least invigorated by this one than I have so far, I do have to say.
You know what, Rhys? That is exactly the way I felt watching this movie. Exactly the way that I felt. I really enjoyed my time. So basically, my only history of this is that I tried watching this once, I think in 2020, 2021, and was kind of... I liked it, but I just kind of stopped watching halfway through. I don't really know why. So I was kind of interested going back into it and seeing like, okay, mate, I'm really hoping that I, love this movie, because this is one that like a lot of people really like. This is one that like, take Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs out of the equation. This is another Tarantino film that people highly praise. People love this movie.
Yeah,
man.
On
Letterboxd, this is a 4.3 ratio. This is a 4.3 average. Very fucking high. Very high. So I was very interested going in, and I liked it. I had fun with it, but there was just a part of me that just didn't connect with it. It felt like there was something missing, and I don't know if it's to do with the film or just me personally, but there was just a part of the experience that just didn't grab me as much as like the last two entries have.
10 hot, eyes forward.
My name is Lieutenant Aldo Ray, and I need me 8 soldiers. We're gonna be dropped into France dressed as civilians. We're gonna be doing one thing only. Killing Nazis.
Yes, sir!
Members of the National Socialist Party have conquered Europe through murder, torture, intimidation, and terror. And that's exactly what we're gonna do to them. We will be cruel to the German. And through our cruelty, they will know who we are. They will find the evidence of our cruelty in the disemboweled, dismembered, and disfigured bodies of their brothers we leave behind us. And the German will not be able to help themselves from imagining the cruelty their brothers endured at our hands, and our boot heels, and the edge of our knives. And the German will be sickened by us. The German will talk about us. And the German will fear us. Nazi ain't got no humanity. They need to be destroyed. Each and every man under my command owes me 100 Nazi scalps. And I want my scalps.
9.
Sound good?
Yes, sir!
I agree, and I think it's because it's definitely a clever movie, but felt a little bit like it could have been made by anybody. And I think that a massive part of this is that it's the first non-contemporary Tarantino film. And it takes on what he calls the World War II man on a mission film. But then also, one would argue, is his first Western, because it takes a lot from spaghetti Westerns, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly especially, and then adapts that into a World War II setting, which I find a very, very fun concept. But with it being a non-contemporary Tarantino effort, is that it loses a bit of his charm, because I think what he understands so much is like the dialogue of how contemporary human beings talk and converse, usually Americans, and being it's in the 1940s changes everything of how people converse and talk about things, and it doesn't feel very... It doesn't feel that authentic, I would say. It feels...
Yeah, the dialogue doesn't feel very traditional Tarantino. The dialogue is still fun, but it definitely loses a little bit of that traditional Tarantino snappy dialogue, per se.
Oh, definitely. And I think even, like, I mean authentic in the way that there is this... I feel like there's this sense of Americanization to it that doesn't feel that fitting of the setting, which... I think that a lot of people will probably hate me saying that and hate that we don't love this film, because you're right. When looking at when doing all my research on Inglourious Basterds, all of the video essays about this film were like, not only will this be cemented as Tarantino's best film, but one of the best World War II films of all time. So people love the shit out of this.
Yeah, I was very intimidated reading because I read the Letterboxd reviews after watching Inglourious Basterds, and I'm like, all right, let's see what the general... Because I know people like this movie, but I didn't realize it was this highly praised, and I was looking at all the reviews, a lot of 4, a lot of 5 stars, and I'm like, fuck.
Oh god, how am I going to be able to talk that much about this if I don't like it that much?
No, it was mostly just like, oh fuck, oh goddamn, I'm going to be really, not going against the grain, and don't get me wrong, I still like this movie, you still like this movie, but, you know...
Yeah.
It's not something that, I guess, like, for us, it's just not something that, really grabbed us, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it, but it is definitely on the bottom of my list so far with these Tarantino films. This also made a killing at the box office because it's not too overly violent, it's not too overly challenging. It would get in there. All the people that would see a war film would be sold immediately by this, and it's not too crazy experimental. I feel like, it's not too crazy experimental with the form of itself.
No, and it's not even, and I mean, I feel like some people may, some could write it off as it is revisionist history. But I feel like going in with that knowledge, you won't really have a problem with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. So I think with it being a much more serious topic as well, everything feels a lot more functional and never strays too far away to dedicate time to humanize or hang out. This is the least hangout movie of his films. It does not really give you a lot of time of just characters being themselves. It is very much moving on to the next step, because also it's probably the biggest story. It's the biggest story that he's done so far. Usually most of his films are very interpersonal. It's very much fighting one person against their own personal demons.
Yeah, and the stakes are probably the highest that they've been in a Tarantino film. This is literally the fate of really the world, really, you know. With them trying to kill Hitler, Goebbels, and everyone, and all the the high ranking Nazis.
Every central Tarantino main character so far has had a little bit of it's up to them to take control of their own destiny and get under control of their own lives, because it feels like that they haven't really had that before. But then this one, the main characters, they're getting in charge of the destiny of the world and history and how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
And I find it very ambitious, very well done, but just doesn't leave me wanting more or being that in love with it.
I can definitely agree. I'll take a more personal story with personal stakes over big world dominating consequence, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally.
Nine times out of 10, I'll take that. Even Kill Bill, which is a very large scale movie, at the core of it is a very personal movie. You know, the stakes are still very personal with compared to Inglourious Basterds. Up
to this point in Tarantino's career, also his biggest moneymaker. This one made around $320 million worldwide on a $70 million budget.
Damn.
And yeah, had never reached those heights before. But it also is because it's pretty. It does feel pretty consumable. I don't think it is too deeply challenging. But to praise some of the really, there's a lot of good stuff in here. To praise some of the really, really good things, is that this is Tarantino's probably biggest dive into creating tension and really wanting to show that he can create very tense scenes. And that's
yes.
And he said that what he wanted to do with this movie, because there's also not a single war battle scene in this war movie, which is great because he said that his intentions more aligned with that he wanted to take the rubber band and keep on pulling it as much as he can before it snaps. And then finally when it does snap, then you really feel it. And there's two scenes in particular that definitely highlight this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Which ones are you? I feel like we might be thinking of the same scenes, but tell me what yours are.
I think that we must be on the same page because it's the first one, and then the bar scene when they're in the bar basement.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I also special shout out to when Shoshana is at the restaurant and Hans Landa is sitting with her at the table and she's having to keep her face straight. Out, incredible, really great stuff. But yeah, the bar scene, so fucking good. And then obviously the opening goes without saying. The opening is it's one of the scenes that the film bros jerk off to the ends of the earth. People praise the shit out of this scene, which I was kind of worried about going in. I was similar to clips from Pulp Fiction. I was worried about going into the scene and having the effect having it have no effect on me because I'd seen it talked about and referenced and seen it so many times as a young boy. And while a little bit of the effect is a bit lost on me because I know it happens and I've had it exposed to me so many times, it's still an effective as fuck scene and also just a great way of a great just introduction to this villain. Oh my fucking god,
Christoph Waltz, the best thing about this movie.
Oh my god, yes, dude. One thing about Christoph Waltz that I find very frustrating is that he is great in this, and because he was so great in this. You know how Christopher Waltz is he's in the later Daniel Craig Bond movie Spectre and No Time to Die.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, he basically plays a revamped version of Blofeld, and he's completely fucking wasted in those movies. He does jack shit. He does jack shit in Spectre, and then he dies in No Time to Die.
That is very upsetting.
It is genuinely insulting to me because I love this. I really love this actor. I was so fucking excited for him to be in a Bond movie because I was like, oh, he's really cool in Inglourious Basterds. I really want to see him as this classic Bond villain, and then he's fucking wasted. And then we get Rami Malek in the new fucking Bond movie, and look, no shade to Rami Malek, but his villain fucking sucked.
Well, thank God the complete opposite here with Christoph Waltz because fuck, he is menacing and
also just weirdly charming as well, which is even scarier. Fucking hell.
You sort of don't want to see him die. He really has his wits about him as well. You can't help but admire some of his ability to sniff out the Jewish people around him and things like that. It's just Oh, it is intense, and he gets awarded for it because he gets the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars for this performance.
Oh, did he get the Oscar for this movie?
He did, yeah.
Because I know he got the Oscar for Django Unchained. I didn't know he got it for this.
2 Tarantino movies in a row, he gets it. He doesn't just get nominated, he wins the fucking award, and thank God that he does. It's also pretty much his Hollywood debut because he's an Austrian actor.
True, yeah.
He's an Austrian actor who has been in a lot of Austrian European films before this. But this was him sort of breaking into a bit of the mainstream. Yeah, and what a way to break out. 100% his breakout role.
Oh my god, yeah, no, he's fucking great in this. It's really funny that in the 2 Tarantino films that he's in, he goes from arguably one of the most vile pieces of shit, playing a Nazi, to then playing a person that a bounty hunter that murders slave owners. Interesting fucking comparison, I reckon.
Oh, totally. In this one as well, Tarantino really struggled to cast someone for this role. Like, he really, really struggled, and he almost... He told people that if he cannot find the right Hans Landa, then he's not going to make the movie. Like, because it required a very, very strong member to perform and embody this character, and without it, he would have just pulled the plug on the whole thing. So when he came across Christoph Waltz, he did all the things in order to get him in the movie, and was like, now we can make this.
Honestly, like, perfect casting, and like the film would be a lot worse without Christoph Waltz, like, as this central antagonist. Like, holy shit,
would be a shell without a doubt.
Oh yeah, and, like the only other person that I could imagine. I for some reason I'm thinking that, like, if he never got Christoph Waltz and he maybe put the movie on the back burner, I'm just thinking of this, that like maybe he watches Dial of Destiny, he's like, okay, I'll get Mads Mikkelsen to play fucking Hans Landa. Maybe that would have been a better Nazi role for Mads Mikkelsen than Dial of Destiny.
Oh man, imagine that world. Imagine that. I feel like that I couldn't picture it, but it's always a good sign of good casting when you cannot even imagine a character being played by anyone else.
Oh, definitely. It just goes to show, like, how great Christoph Waltz's performance is in this movie. Performances all around are really like, honestly, in a way, like, everyone else is kind of like is definitely overshadowed by Christoph Waltz, but like everyone else is great in it. If obviously, sitting in the shadow of that man's performance.
He did a very, very good job of Tarantino casting for every character that has a different nationality. He will cast them appropriately for their nationality, and he also didn't know. But what he pretty much did as well, because he doesn't know any of these languages, like the French or German that's spoken in the movie, he just wrote the script in English and then trusted the actors to just read it out in their language that they're supposed to be doing it in. Which is putting a lot of faith into the actors. You would really have to trust them, because you could be directing and then they fuck up a line and you might not know. And and you might not know if the delivery is exactly how you want it to be, just because expression is quite different between different languages. So the casting, very, very important in this, to not even just like embodying the character, but also doing their own sort of bit of directing, like of directing themselves and making sure that they're able to, if they perform and execute a line that they don't like, it is their responsibility to go, let's do it again. This didn't work. Did not work.
I could just imagine that, like, during the filming of, like, stuff with Michael Fassbender and Mike Myers, they fuck up the line. Tarantino can't tell. It's a different language. They're speaking British. He's not going to be able to tell.
I think Mike Myers is, like, the only one in this movie that is, like, a Canadian playing an English dude. But everyone else is, like, accurate to their nationalities.
I actually kind of forgot that Mike Myers isn't. For some reason, I actually did think Mike Myers was British when watching this movie. I was like, lol, this is a... I forgot that, like, Mike Myers is, like, Canadian. Like, the fuck? Also, can I just say that for some reason, when I was hearing Mike Myers speak, all I could think about was just fucking Mark from Peep Show, because he kind of had, like, a similar... he had a similar... no, this is not because I'm still obsessed with Peep Show, but no...
It is a little bit because you're still obsessed with Peep Show,
No, totally not. Totally not. No, definitely fucking is. It definitely fucking is. I'm still thinking about Peep Show. But I swear there were some vocal inflections that sounded like the way Mark would speak to Jez in Peep Show.
I sort of get you, yeah.
Look, it's definitely just me, I think, but I just figured I'd point that. I just wanted to point that out.
No, Mike Myers, in all these interviews, he did say how Peep Show very much was his inspiration for his accent in this. Over the joint.
Good. Michael Fassbender, he should have fucking tried to emulate Jez's performance in Peep Show.
There's a couple other things, though, that I liked in this. Also, cinematography and soundtrack, very nice. Very clean. Like it creates an atmosphere and a sense of place quite well.
But I feel like at this point in Tarantino's career, that's just kind of a given. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
Like, it's kind of like when talking about like a Pixar movie. It's like obviously you can't really talk about the animation as a plus because it's obviously gonna be good. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of redundant at this point.
Yeah, you're very, very right. But with like pretty much other than that, that's like my main sort of positives of this film. Did you know that Adam Sandler was supposed to play the Bear Jew, but then turned it down because of funny people? like Eli Roth's character, that was supposed to be Adam Sandler. Man, we could be living in a Quentin Tarantino, Adam Sandler collaborative universe right now, but we're not.
I love that. Oh my fucking god.
I could totally picture it though. Could you picture this?
I mean, maybe. I'm just imagining like fucking like I'm just imagining like fucking Happy Gilmore like fucking because he's got the he's literally just playing Happy Gilmore instead of the fucking baseball bat. He's just got a golf club fucking bashing cunts heads in. Oh wait, no, hang on, no, this is giving me PTSD. The Last of Us Part 2. Let's move past golf clubs.
Okay, no more golf clubs. But Eli Roth also, other than just acting in this, and does a very good job, I think, acting in this as the Bear Jew.
No, he's great in this. Like I've got to say, like recently, I've gotten a lot more of an appreciation for Eli Roth, and like purely because like I rewatch Hostel and all that, and I'm like, fuck, this is good shit. I like this. So like I want to get into like Eli Roth's filmography because I've seen the Hostel movies and I've seen Cabin Fever. I want to watch more of his stuff because I'm very interested in his like kind of his craft.
Do you like Cabin Fever?
I remember liking it. I didn't love it. I remember liking it. I'm curious. I'm very curious to rewatch it because it's a film that I've always kind of like thought was like pretty fine and stuff. But that's how I felt about Hostel as well. But then like rewatching Hostel, I'm like, oh, this is fucking incredible. I love this.
Man, I did not like Cabin Fever first time that I watched it.
Yeah.
So I probably need to rewatch it because I have heard good things. But and also I've still yet to see any Hostel films.
Really, bro? Hostel.
Yeah.
Like I haven't rewatched Hostel 2. I did watch the kill count on it, and I was like, oh, this movie actually looks fucking lit. But Hostel 1, I love it. It's such a great time capsule of like the mid 2000s. And you know me, I love like mid 2000s like aesthetic, so I reckon you might get a kick out of it. And then obviously, you know, the torture porn and all that is also, you know, very tasteful.
Man, with Saw X coming out in like a week. I think it's only a week away. Saw X.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm not even kidding you, man.
I'm so excited for Saw X, man. I love the Saw movies.
Oh, me too. Yeah, it comes out 29th of September.
No fucking way, dude. That comes out the same day I'm going to fucking the Listen Out festival.
Oh, so you're gonna have to wait a week. I'm gonna be there opening night, man. Ready for the torture porn.
Oh hell yeah, dude. I still gotta watch Spiral, so I gotta do my research first before I get into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah. I think that you do. But there was on the topic of Eli Roth. Eli Roth also had something else to do with this film that wasn't just acting in it, which I find very, very interesting.
Uh-huh.
Guess what he did? Do you know about this?
I'm going to guess he wrote the script.
No, he didn't.
No.
Your first trivia failure, but also I didn't introduce it like a trivia host, so I don't think that it doesn't count. The music didn't play.
It doesn't count. It doesn't count.
All you listeners just heard an absence of music, which means that the game show wasn't running. So still 10 out of 10 for Kane.
Thank God.
So what he did, Eli Roth directed Nation's Pride. The fake propaganda film in this movie. He directed.
Oh shit!
Yeah, which I really, really like that to give it a distinct style, separate from from Tarantino doing the actual film.
That's cool. What the fuck?
Yeah, and also wouldn't that be a fun thing to have a go at experimenting directing a Nazi propaganda film?
Oh yeah.
Nazi propaganda with the intention to take the piss out of them. It's pretty. That's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah. No, definitely.
And also makes me think that Eli Roth, like, I knew that Eli Roth and Quentin Tarantino were mates, but, like, their collaborations are becoming more and more abundant in this time. And so I'm interested to see how this sort of continues. Because did you notice the Eli Roth cameo in Grindhouse?
Yes, yeah, in the bar, yeah.
I didn't even know that was Eli Roth until the credits were rolling, and I was
really?
like, "What? What does he look like?"
Shit.
Yeah,
Interesting.
It was only after that.
I always knew that was him because he also, from what I remember, he also cameos in Hostel as well. Which I found interesting.
Man, I cannot wait to jump onto Hostel.
Oh, it's so fucking good, man. It's so good.
But the real sort of importance of this film comes from this interesting experiment with Tarantino, his first real attempt at rewriting history and playing it out on screen, his ideal end to World War II, which is a fascinating meta-commentary, right? Like, I find it very interesting, this experimentation and playfulness with the idea that a filmmaker can, in a way, rewrite history. For the 2.5 hours that this movie goes for, that is how World War II ended, right? In a figurative way, it truly does end like that for that moment of screen time. Did you enjoy that sort of play on history?
Yeah, no, I had a great time with it, and it's obviously it's very satisfying, especially during the final sequence of the movie with all those Nazis burning in the theater. Like, very interesting way of hell. It even it's so revisionist that it even ends like the war ends on a different year, because World War II ended in 1945. This final sequence takes place in 44, which I was just like, oh, that's a neat little detail. He's really trying to pull the revisionist shit, but even changing the year. Like, I was like, wow, that's neat.
Well, I guess if you do have complete control over how and when to finish World War II, you would maybe finish it at least a year earlier, right?
Yeah, you'd want to wrap things up a bit. Yeah, you would want to wrap them up a bit earlier, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. To preserve it going on any longer than it has to. And I really, really like this meta commentary here, where in the actual film, it is literally the film, the celluloid, that kills the Nazis in a cinema. Like, how awesome is that as this parable that Tarantino is, through the practice of filmmaking, killing off the Nazis, all these Nazi generals and Hitler himself, and inside the film, they are burning down in a cinema with celluloid coming, getting aflame.
In the end, cinema was the ultimate weapon again that saved the world figuratively.
Yeah,
which is really fucking
and
cool.
It also plays with this concept that in World War II, a massive weapon for the Nazi regime, right, was this propaganda filmmaking.
Oh yeah, the media in general, man.
Yeah, it was Triumph of the Will, right? That was like one of the most inspirational sort of pieces of cinema, inspirational in air quotes, and a very prolific piece of cinema history that also changed history quite a bit because of the way that it presented the Nazi regime, and made everything look so sexy and powerful, and really did change history quite a bit. And this is Tarantino's fuck you and idea of sort of Triumph of the Will, right?
Oh yeah, no, this is fucking cool as shit.
He's getting to make his own history and make it exactly how he wants it to be, which is the power that a filmmaker has.
One criticism that I definitely have, I feel like for me it's kind of a personal thing, maybe you might feel the same way, but I really liked both, because Tarantino's doing this thing again where he's doing he's not, I don't want to call it non-linear storytelling, but focusing on different kinds of groups and all that, different storylines, almost an anthology type thing. We're focusing on two different groups of characters. We're focusing on Shoshana and her plight with the cinema and setting up this Nazi movie night. And then on the other side, you got, the Inglourious Basterds. I like both storylines, but one problem that I have is that, I feel that the film maybe should have focused heavily on one on one storyline over the other. I feel like that once I'm starting to get invested in the Bastards, it then cuts to Shoshana. And then I'm getting invested in Shoshana, and then it just cuts to the Bastards. And the film keeps doing that, and it didn't, like, it wasn't bad, but it did kind of bother me a little bit, because I'm like, this is good, I want more development of this, and then and then just as it's getting going, and we're getting more developments, it cuts to the next group of characters, and then, you know, so on and so forth, you know. Did you feel that same way, Rhys, at all? Or am I?
That's a very, very good point. Well, I don't think that I actually analyzed it like that, but I think that you're probably correct, because I didn't really feel like that I was completely invested in any of these characters. The most compelling character to me that I very much wanted to keep on seeing on screen was Christoph Waltz, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone else, and he is the most consistent character through both of those storylines.
Yeah.
So you probably do see the most consistency with him rather than the two separate groups. And then you can't really sort of get behind them.
They're great. Like, both storylines are, like, interesting, but yeah, I would have preferred if, you know, we got to see more of, like, Shoshana, like, her survival and, like, her kind of, because, like, you know, her, like, stuff of, like, you know, she's a Jewish woman hiding in plain sight in Nazi occupied Paris, which itself makes for an interesting story. But then on the other hand, you've got this, like, ragtag group of American soldiers going behind enemy lines and basically just taking matters into their own hands and just doing their own thing and being as brutal as possible to the Nazis. And you know, also the movie is named after them, and they occupy like half the movie, and their stuff's interesting. But then, you know, again, once I get invested in them, it cuts to Shoshana, and then it just takes me out of it, and I don't get like that emotional connection with either storyline that I feel like that the film kind of wanted me to have. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It really makes me curious what we're sort of missing out on with not being so in love with this film. It's for something to have an average of like 4.3 on Letterboxd means that a lot of people are rating it 5 out of 5 stars. There's and I just cannot give it that, because I didn't feel any moments of like euphoria during this, or like, oh yes, it all so cleanly comes together. Like with the what's her name? What's the Jewish woman's name?
Shoshana.
With Shoshana, you're correct that it didn't really show that consistently her sort of plight being in this Nazi occupied France, because when she did eventually die, I wasn't so like hung up about it, you know? Like, did you feel? It didn't really rip my heart out as much as it should have in that situation.
Like, I was shocked, and I was like, oh no, but like not really not like a guttural, like, you know, not like a pull at my heartstrings type thing. I was more so just like, oh no, that sucks. Like I liked her, you know, like
Totally. And another cast member that I think is a fantastic actor, and I really liked him in this, but also just didn't really get my attention too much, was this dude named Daniel Bruhl. Do you know him?
Yeah, I know Daniel Bruhl, yeah.
Yeah, I really, really like him and think he's a great actor, but his character did very little for me here. It felt like that he could have gone places, but didn't really.
The only thing that I really got from Daniel Bruhl's character is that, like, right before he dies, he basically just turns into... like, his whole character is basically just a Nazi incel, pretty much. Like, he's basically... he's literally a nice guy, and then the second, like, she tells him no, he starts having a fucking bitch sesh about it. And I had a bit of a laugh about that. I literally have in my note, I'm just like, he's a Nazi, but worse. He's a Redditor.
A Reddit Nazi. Oh my god, he would be in the freaking neo-Nazi subreddits right now if he was still around today.
He'd probably be in he'd definitely be in like the r/nice guy subreddit as well. He'd definitely be like one of those fedora tipping fuckers. I invited her to a movie. I helped her set up this movie premiere, and I'm handsome, and I was nice to her. Why doesn't she want to date me? Why doesn't she want to fuck me? Like, I can see him doing that shit.
Poor Daniel Bruhl in this situation. Poor guy.
I know. No shade to you, Daniel Bruhl. We love you up in here. Come on the podcast. Defend your case.
Yeah. Defend how your character is a lot more on this than we really think. You know, they were really sort of giving you credit for. But the most satisfying thing about the film would be the sort of Jewish revenge story to it all, right? Is really seeing all this violence being taken out against the Nazi people.
Oh yeah, and the third act is definitely like the best portion of this movie, I feel, and not the Nazi revenge, fucking hell, the complete opposite Kane. The Jewish revenge is so it's so fucking satisfying to watch.
It's this antithetical cleanse, right? And it almost it's this mirror of like Tarantino was saying that it's this sort of mirror to like the gas chambers in World War II is having the Nazis like being trapped in this cinema, being burnt alive. So it's very much like it's a bit of a meditation and stress relief almost, and getting rid of a lot of that angst. And Tarantino was a bit hesitant about it because he wasn't sure if it was poor taste or not, and spoke to a lot of his Jewish friends to ask if they think that it's sort of a good way to go or not. And
what do you mean by poor taste? What, like the image of like Nazis dying the same way that the Jewish people would have died in? Is that what you mean?
Poor taste, the entire idea of a Jewish revenge story.
Okay, right.
Yeah. And a lot of his Jewish friends, most of them were telling him, like, their immediate feedback was, I want to see this movie. I want to have... Because there was this... he explored with a lot of these Jewish friends of his this idea of bitterness and almost wish fulfillment of wanting to... like of wanting to sort of cleanse their souls by getting revenge on... for their ancestors. And through this film, that's why sort of Eli Roth is so tied to it, is that he really, really wanted to see it be done as almost a therapy for his own generational trauma.
Yeah.
And it seems like that people have really, really responded to that. So it's also they're fucking Nazis, man. Like,
anyone's gonna fucking want to see them burn. I mean, apart from if you're one of those fucking right wing extremist neo-Nazi types, but
completely. It's like Nazis are the most like universal, like safe bet of disposable people in cinema and media to almost in a weird therapeutic way be able to destroy. It's would just be so much more personal to so many other people, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I think that I'm ready to pretty much tie this all up. Have you had your piece?
Yeah. I'll just say one more thing, is that I actually was very shocked that Hans Landa didn't die at the end of the movie. I always had the idea that he dies at the very end. And the fact that like he basically just stabs the entire Nazi regime in the back, I was like, holy fucking shit, that is fucking baller.
Oh yeah,
that is such a like a baller. That is such a rat. That's a rat-like move to make. He's a literal rat in the Nazi regime, if that makes sense. Which kind of ties back to like him describing the Jewish people as rats. So that was a bit of an interesting kind of what do you call
a strange dynamic, right?
Yeah.
That's actually a very, very good point. I totally forgot about how he at the end does sort of go rogue and just go for whatever benefits him in the short term, right?
Yeah. Like I was taken aback, and I was like, wow, that's fucking interesting. Okay, Jesus. And then also I also just really like the whole them branding the Nazis with the fucking symbol on their foreheads. I think that was shit. I don't have anything to really say about it deep and meaningfully, but I just really like that. I was like, fuck yeah, that's cool.
That is a fantastic way to sort of humiliate these Nazis in this film, right? Because it's giving them this scar that it's like, you have to wear this for the rest of your life.
Yeah, front and center as well, yeah.
You are condemning your soul by being a part of this. And you have to live with that. And every time that you look in the mirror, you have to think about that. Which is very therapeutic, right? There is something so cleansing about that concept.
Definitely.
And it's probably those sort of elements that makes Tarantino say that he believes that over time, history will look back far more fondly on Inglourious Basterds than even Pulp Fiction, he believes.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Maybe maybe we are just not ready for this yet. Maybe we need history to go forth, and over time, we will see the importance of Inglourious Basterds. I'm willing to be open and allow this to happen, that maybe one day history will look at Inglourious Basterds as Tarantino's masterpiece. And don't forget to check out our Facebook page at MarathonMeOfficial, all one word, and our Instagram, MarathonMe_official, to keep up to date on the podcast. And hey, if you want to get into contact with us, email us at marathonmepodc, yes, the letter C, @gmail.com. Like a podcast without the ask.